Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sports Now with Darius and Aiden. I am Darius Adams, and thank you for joining us here today to cap off a very busy week in the NBA. Now, I came on here to record an episode about Mikal Bridges being sent to the New York Knicks and the resigning Bojan Anunoby, and possibly record another one regarding the NBA draft and LeBron James Jr. being drafted by the Lakers to join his father. But this is not what this episode is going to be about. This is going to be about the latest blockbuster trade here in the NBA, which is Dejounte Murray being sent to the New Orleans Pelicans for Larry Nance Jr., Dyson Daniels, a 2025 and a 2027 first round pick. Now, I did not expect this at all. I believed that the Hawks were going to give this experiment between Dejounte Murray and Trae Young another chance, especially considering the fact that they are in a rebuilding state and they have been in the playing tournament over the past couple of years. But I guess this is the end of the road, and if I'm Dejounte Murray, I am excited because this is one of the best situations where a player of his caliber could be right now. I look at the core four for the Pelicans right now. You have C.J. McCollum, Zion Williamson, now Dejounte Murray to go along with possibly Brandon Ingram, depending on how his contract situation goes. And if I'm looking at this trade right now, my immediate reaction has to be that the Pelicans have now established themselves as a top five seed in the Western Conference. Now, over the past couple of days and past couple of weeks, a lot of moves have been made. We saw Mikal Bridges being sent to the New York Knicks. We saw just this morning Tim Hardaway Jr. being sent to Detroit and Alex Caruso being sent to the Thunder. The Pelicans had to make a couple of moves this offseason, especially considering the fact how they had the gentleman sweep versus the Thunder in the first round. And this is going to be a pivotal year in the Zion Williamson experiment here in the Big Easy. And you finally get that facilitator as a point guard. And you really haven't had that in a long time uh, uh, for the Pelicans. A facilitator and a guy who can score at the one has been the number one priority for the Pelicans over the past couple of years. And we saw it with Lonzo Ball a little bit before he went to Chicago, how he was improving as a scorer, improving as a shooter, but he really wasn't the guy that could just go out there and get 25 with ease every night. With Dejounte Murray, you're getting an automatic triple-double per night. You're getting a possible 50, 40, 90 guy. An all-star, a proven and established player in this league who can possibly push the Pelicans to the second round or even the Western Conference Finals. And I'm looking at the Western Conference landscape right now. I'm looking at OKC, Adam Caruso. That is a huge one for them. I'm looking at the Clippers and how they're going to make a couple of moves. I'm looking at the Dallas Mavericks not going away. This move has put the New Orleans Pelicans in the upper echelon of those teams in the Western Conference. And not to forget, they still have a solid group of role players as well. You still have Herb Jones. You still have Jonas Valanciunas. You still have Trey Murphy. I believe Najee Marshall might be a free agent, but he may retain him as well. You still have Jose Alvarado, GTA. And you also have Jordan Hawkins as well, who's a bucket. And if there was any, this was the, if I'm the Pelicans, this was the first option I'm going to in the trade market. The first option, considering the fact that down the stretch, especially in the regular season, that's where we saw the Pelicans struggle. Now, in the earlier portion of the regular season last year, the Pelicans were dangling around like that 4 or 5 seed, and we saw those standings trickle down a little bit, and eventually we saw them in the play-in tournament lose versus the Lakers, and we saw them dominate the Kings. And in that playoff series versus OKC, even considering the fact that Zion Williamson was out the entirety of that series, we could see a huge void when it came to facilitating and scoring down the stretch. In that series, I really did like the performances from Trey Murphy. I know GTA was hurt, went down a little bit with a couple of injuries. I saw some great performances from Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram. Was kind of inconsistent, and it was a terrible outing for CJ McCollum. Putting Dejounte Murray in that situation is very ideal for that offense. And knowing how Willie Green runs his team, they're going on that Pelicans team is always going to have a defensive identity, but they need a score. They needed a score, another facilitator, a guy who could get buckets regardless of the situations and regardless about the opposing matchup. And knowing in the Western Conference and knowing across the association where you're going to be going up against some of the marquee elite guards in this league, you need somebody who can come back that scoring production from guys like Stephen Curry or Luka or Kyrie or players of that caliber. And Dejounte Murray can score like the best of them. He's an all-star, once again, a proven player in this league, and he's going to perform very, very well for this team. New Orleans was 0-24 when trailing entering the fourth quarter, and 2-14 in close games. And Dejounte Murray is a guy who can create and generate immediate offense. And I believe Dejounte Murray and Zion Williamson in that pick and roll is going to be incredible basketball to watch. And seeing Dejounte Murray and Jonas Valanciunas on that pick and pop is going to work wonders for this Pelicans team. We're going to see an entirely different version of New Orleans basketball going into next season. And I believe if they can add, I believe maybe one more wing or one more 3-and-D player, we may be talking about a team competing for a spot in the Western Conference Finals this year. That's considering all of the competition in the West, in a very, very difficult West. Once again, I see the Pelicans as a top 5 seed, but you made the trade to get Dejounte Murray. That was the number one priority. Adding a one, getting that guy that can run and create offense. Number 2 has to be resigning Brandon Ingram. You have to secure him for the long-term future. And Brandon Ingram was really the guy that kept this Pelicans team afloat throughout the duration of the time. Zion was injured for a long period of time, and he was really the key guy leading New Orleans to those 7-8 seeds. And now that you have Dejounte Murray, it's only right that you give him what he's asking for. I believe Brandon Ingram is the ingredient to the Pelicans' success this year, knowing how he could be a number one scoring option, knowing how he can get to his spot on the opposite side of the ball any time, anywhere and anytime he pleases. This guy is one of the best individual scorers in this league. Now, I do believe that his defense may be lackluster at times, but his offensive production isn't like any other player in this league. And the Pelicans need to pay him. He deserves it. He's an automatic 25, 30 points a night. And if you add him to the mix of that core 4 with a triple-double machine like Murray, with a proven veteran in CJ McCollum, with a unstoppable force like Zion Williamson, and some great 3-and-D guys like Jose Alvarado and Trey Murphy, and a great shot blocker and interior defender like Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram will be the key to the Pelicans' success this year. And if you retain Brandon Ingram, I believe your team may be set. We were talking earlier on in the earlier portion of last season, we were considering the Pelicans to be a dominant force, and that was when this team was healthy. The only reason why the Pelicans did not have that type of media attention was due to the injuries they faced throughout the duration of the season, whether it was Alvarado, whether it was Ingram, whether it was Murphy, right? The injury concerns really prohibited all of us from giving the Pelicans credit. And now, if this team remains healthy with this core 4, they at least have a fighting chance to survive in a difficult Western Conference where teams are gunning to add a lot of veteran players and looking to add talent with all the great free agents on the market. But so far, if I had to give this trade a grade, this is A+ for the Pelicans, A+ trade for New Orleans. You get the guy you want, you get the guy you need in Dejounte Murray. This was a complete robbery for the Pelicans, and this was a complete disaster trade for the Atlanta Hawks. I know you want to add draft capital. Okay, that's fine. Create some salary space, create some cap space. Excuse me, but I'm looking at a guy like Trae Young, who is entering, I believe, maybe his 6th or 7th season in the league. If this experiment does not work by the trade deadline, Trae Young will request out of Atlanta. And Trae Young will not be an Atlanta Hawk by the start of next season. Trae Young wants to win. That is what defines legacy in the NBA today. Winning at a consistent level. In one measly appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals 3 years ago is not going to cut it. Trae Young wants to be in a position to win. There are plenty of teams out there that need him on their team that could possibly lead them to a championship or lead them to a long playoff run. Trae Young may be one of the most attractive guys on the trade market right now. And if I'm Trae Young, I'm looking at this roster, looking at all the moves they've done by trading of AJ Griffin, now the trading of Dejounte Murray. It's time to move on. If I'm Trae Young, the experiment is over, and if I'm Trae Young, I'm saying, hey, I appreciate all the things that the Atlanta Hawks organization has done for me, but right now it's time to move on to the next phase of my career, and I'm not just requesting, I'm demanding a trade. It's time for Trae Young to get out of there. But so far, A plus grade for the New Orleans Pelicans right now. You get the player you want, get the player you need, and the Pelicans could possibly go all the way. So with that being said, this has been Sports Now with Darius Aiden. I'm Darius, and we will see you on the next episode. Until then, peace.